Here's what you should know about your local real estate market in this week's Market Update. Now, one of the headlines that I saw in the real estate industry this week that I've not heard anybody talk about, that seems to have been largely glossed over, is regarding Opendoor. Now, I think many of you have heard of Opendoor. Opendoor is an iBuyer, and not just an iBuyer, they're essentially like the biggest, most well-known iBuyer. If you're not familiar with an iBuyer is a company that says, hey, we'll come in and we'll just buy your house. No realtors fees, none of all the stuff that comes with it. As realtors, we do a ton of work to get your house sold. We guide you in what you need to do to help get the house ready. We help you get the house ready. We do a ton of marketing. We spend a ton of money on marketing. We deal with showings and inspections and negotiations and all kinds of stuff to get your house sold and get you top dollar. So essentially what an iBuyer does is they come and say, you don't have to do any of that. We'll give you an offer to take it or leave it, and we'll just buy your house, and then you can just move out whenever you'd like, and then we'll go ahead and we'll sell it, and that's where we'll make the money. And it's been, as far as I'm concerned, fairly well known that the benefit of an iBuyer is not having to deal with all these headaches. And the cost of an iBuyer is you're going to sell your home for significantly less than you would in an open market. I felt like that was fairly well known. However, these are the allegations that the FTC is hitting Opendoor with. That Opendoor misled home sellers by making them believe that they could sell their home on Opendoor for a not only the same but higher price than the open market. Also, the FTC found that home sellers on Opendoor ended by selling their properties for a few $1,000s less than they would have gotten on the open market. You're selling your house for a lot more than a few $1,000s less than you would on the open market if you go through an iBuyer. Opendoor claimed that it made money from disclosed fees. FTC found that. Guess what? Big shout out to FTC for doing intense research to find that Opendoor made a profit by buying low and selling high. That I want to give props to the investigators at FTC that found this out. I'm pretty sure that was common knowledge, that that's how Opendoor makes their money. They give you a low offer to buy your house. Some people might say, hey, I don't want to deal with all the headaches of selling my house. I'll take that offer, knowing that Opendoor is going to turn around and sell their house for a lot more than they offered them, and that's the benefit of the iBuyer. So it's pretty comical. I feel like this is pretty well known. So it's interesting to see that these government agencies are coming in after people have made these decisions, knowing all the information and then deciding that they didn't like the outcome of it. So that's pretty comical. Aside from that, a trend that I'm seeing, continuing to see in the real estate market for home sellers. This is a big mistake that I'm seeing home sellers make. The big mistake is more so in the representation that they're hiring, but I've seen a lot of sellers not leaving their houses. When you decide to sell your house, you want to market that house and get as many people in as possible and gain as much exposure and make the experience as pleasurable as possible for those buyers, so they love your home and they want to work with you. I've seen a lot of sellers give a lot of pushback on when their homes can be sold. The reason this is the seller's fault is because of the representation that they hire. I make it a very strong point well in advance of putting a house on the market to prepare my sellers with what will be expected of them in terms of advance notice for showings, how much advance notice they can expect, the availability of their house, and that they should be getting out of their house. They should expect that these days and times are fair game, and they even if they don't have a showing scheduled, they should anticipate a potential showing being scheduled. I'm seeing a lot of sellers, when I request certain times to show a house, them saying, oh, that time doesn't work for us, that's too early, we don't like to get out of bed that early, or we have someone cleaning the house that day. Well, you should have done that before your house came on the market. Plan ahead. That's challenging. You can't just assume that, these buyers are just out there all day and these realtors just are sitting around waiting for the opportunity to show a house. So I'll just tell them what time works for me, and they'll accommodate that. You have plenty of buyers that have busy schedules. that are coming from out of town. You have these realtors that are showing a lot of different houses, have many clients. So they're working their best to make their schedule work. And on top of that, I think part of that is sellers have gotten a little bit spoiled over the last few years, being a very strong seller's market, and the buyers just kind of having to put up with whatever guidelines that the buyers put into place for them. But I wouldn't put too much weight on it. I'm still seeing lots and lots of bidding wars and houses going for significantly over list price. But I feel like I'm seeing signs of that frenzy quieting down a little bit, that extreme power being shifted away from sellers. It is still certainly very strongly a seller's market, but I'm seeing sellers not able to get away with some of their extreme demands and behavior that I have been seeing the last few years. So if you are not prepared to make some accommodations and make it a pleasurable experience for your buyers, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. As the market shifts, I'm not seeing any signs of drastic price decreases or strong swings into the buyer's favor, but the market doesn't stay one way forever, and as the market shifts, it's important to keep these best business practices in shape. So what do we see in the stats this week? It felt like we had a lot of new inventory, a lot of relief in the market this week. However, when I first opened my stats today, I looked at the number of new homes on the market, and it was actually a little bit less than last week. So new homes on the market this past week, we saw 11 homes come on the market this past week. 4 of those were in town and 7 of those were in township. However, here's the reason why it feels like a lot more relief, because out of these 11 homes, 10 of those were single family homes and only 1 was a condo or townhouse. So I'm seeing a majority of the demand in single family detached homes. And so even though there were fewer homes coming on the market this week than last week, since an overwhelming majority of those were single family homes, for many of those buyers that were really really starved for inventory, when you look at the fact that most of those were single family homes, that's a big win and a big relief this past week. So fingers crossed that trend continues and we see some relief for those home buyers. Average list price of this homes coming on the market this past week was $966,000. And total inventory this past week, we saw a nice significant welcome relief. 36 homes are actively on the market. So we went from lingering in the 20s and now we are in the mid 30s with 36 homes actively on the market. Let's hope that trend continues. Obviously it's just 1 week, so 1 week doesn't tell us much, but let's hope this trend continues and gives us some relief and some normalcy to the market, which is good for everybody. Homes sold. Homes sold this past week, we saw 7 homes sell this past week. Average list price of those homes was $646,000. Average sale price of those homes was $689,000. So this past week, homes sold for an average of 6.4% above list price. So homes are still selling significantly above list price, and average days on market for those homes was 20 days on the market. And under contract homes, we saw only 4 homes go under contract this past week. List price of those homes, average list price was $750,000, and the median days on market has remained at 13, which is what we've been seeing for a long time now. So lots of developments happening in the real estate industry. It is certainly imperative that you have not only experienced experts in your corner, but ones that are adaptive as we see a lot of changes. While experience is important, ability to adapt and stay on top of the changes in the market is ever so important. So shoot me some comments and some DMs with some questions you might have on these developments or other things you may have heard this past week in the real estate market and would like some more clarification on. So thanks for checking in, guys, and I'll catch you again next week.